now available on e-readers everywhere. From the author of the Simp trilogy, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, They Look Like Men But They Act Like Ladies, and The Misadventures of Captain Sailor comes Stop Simping in the Workplace. Learn what mistakes not to make with women and protect your job with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available on e-readers everywhere. There's a reason why a guy like a Elliot Rodger or Stephen Stevens goes out here and commits these horrific acts of violence. And that reason for going out here and committing that act of violence is because these guys do not understand how to have sexual relationships with women. When it comes down to these guys like your Elliot Rodgers or your Stephen Stevens, or even in some cases your Dylan Roofs and your James Harris Jacksons, they have really poor social skills and they do not know how to interact with women. And in many cases, these guys believe that in their interactions with women, that they are there to get sex with those women, and that if they have sex with these women, they will have some sort of social currency. And they believe if they get this social currency, it will elevate their status and elevate their value. So they believe if they can't get these women, they are going to have a lower value. However, that has to do with their perceptions of self and their perceptions of who they are. When it comes down to many of these guys like this, they have extremely low self-esteem and low self-worth. So they think that by getting involved with some dream woman, or in the case of your Stephen Stevens, just any woman like this Joy Bryant, that they're going to elevate their social status in some way, shape, or form. And they believe if they can't get this woman, they're going to remain stuck in a lowly position. So in their frustration about not being able to get that social currency or that social status, or for example, like in the case of Stephen Stevens, the possibility of losing the ability to get social currency and social status through this woman, they wind up going out and participating in these acts of violence. And they participate in these acts of violence because they fear losing their social currency and even, in some cases, their identity from this woman. Because what these guys do is they try to live through the female because they see the female as having a higher position than they are. And again, that relates to their low self-esteem and their low self-worth. And they feel that if they can't get the woman to acknowledge them and the woman to see them as having value, then they're going to take away everybody else's world and destroy everybody else's world, because their world pretty much revolves around the female, and their world revolves around getting the attention and the approval of this female. And this is why these guys act out, because they have pretty much designed the world, and they've been taught that the world revolves around women. They have not been taught a balanced picture regarding sexual health and seeing and perceiving women. They see women as leaders primarily in their lives and authority figures, and they pretty much in many ways worship the female. And they feel that if the female rejects them, like in the case of your Stephen Stevens, they have pretty much failed as a human being, so they want to go out and destroy people who they pretty much feel that they can hurt. Like in the case of your Stephen, and all four of them, they believe that they can go out here and destroy a person or kill people because they feel like their world has been destroyed because some woman has rejected them, or they can't get the attention of females. And it's the way that they're thinking that is dysfunctional and pretty much preventing them from having relationships with women, because they pretty much put women on pedestals. This is what your nice guys pretty much do. And when it comes down to these guys, they pretty much worship these females, and then eventually when they feel like this female is rejecting them, their feelings of objectification and worship eventually turn into contempt. And this is what leads to these guys pretty much lashing out violently, because they feel like they can't get the attention of these females, they can't get the approval of these females, and they can't get the sex that will get them the attention, approval, and social currency of others. And the way they have been raised and the way they have been taught to think about sexuality is what really makes these guys dangerous, because they have not learned a healthy way to express their sexuality. They have not learned a healthy way to express their sexual feelings, and they have not learned constructive ways to deal with their own sexuality and their sexual feelings. When it comes down to these kind of guys, they have been taught by their mothers and many of the females around them, and even some of these beta males, to suppress their feelings. And that's what leads to these guys pretty much eventually building up all, creating these fantasies about women, and then pretty much either in some cases having that secret life where they try to express it through secret porn, viewings of porn, or going to strip bars or things like that, or they're going out and just suppressing their feelings around a woman that they fixate on, and eventually, sooner or later, those feelings eventually wind up simmering and boiling inside of them because they do not know how to navigate their emotions. And what they do is they explode in a rage. And when these guys pretty much explode in that rage because they're just angry at, not at the woman, but they're angry at themselves because they don't know how to approach women, or they don't know how to interact with women, they wind up simmering and boiling, and then eventually they wind up exploding, participating in these acts of horrific violence. And this is par for the course when it comes down to your nice guy, because your nice guy has learned a lot of sexual shame growing up, being raised by women and who have been trying to deal with their own sexual shame regarding their own behavior. And that's what leads to these boys turning into males who pretty much learn the same dysfunctional way of thinking. Because when it comes down to these kind of guys, there's a reason why they are acting out violently. And the reason why they are acting out violently is because they have not learned how to healthily express themselves sexually. And because they have not learned a healthy way to express themselves sexually, they don't know how to interact with women. They don't know how to socialize with women. And they don't understand that sex really isn't that important. It is not a piece of social currency. It is not, an accomplishment in a relationship. It's just a natural part of life. Everyone has it or does it. And it's all just par for the course. And it's nothing to pretty much, lose your mind over, or go out here and try to kill people over your possibility of getting it, or because you have been rejected by a woman who won't give you anymore. Because when it comes down to these guys, they have never learned that, again, it's just a part of life, and that there are 4 women for every 1 man, and there are opportunities at sex all over the place, and sex is not social currency. It doesn't really mean anything. It's not that important. There are more important things to life, and if these guys have been raised to believe that, maybe a lot of people would not be dead today. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.